Good evening, everybody. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start in a child's pose today. So you're going to bring your toes together. Okay, you can bring those knees as wide as you would like. So if you want a little bit more rounding through the spine, you can bring those knees a little bit closer together. Go ahead and slide those hands forward, rest your head down. If you want a little bit more opening through that upper back, so if you feel like you've been kind of like hunched over all day, hey, bring those knees a little bit wider. Hey, you can reach those arms forward and then just slide that chest down towards the ground, pressing that forehead down, regardless of what position you're in. And if you want even more opening through that upper back, just flip those palms up, bend into those elbows, and just pat yourself on the back, just right in between those shoulder blades. Then keep pressing the hips back. Keep softening that chest down towards the mat. And then just start to slow down that breath, taking that really big breath in through the nose. And that nice slow and controlled exhale. Again, really big breath in. And then exhale it out, just nice and slow. Just trying to really focus on that breath. You can maybe even count that breath. Giving it maybe a 6-second count on that inhale and a 6-second count on that exhale. And go ahead and extend those arms back out. Lift up slightly. And just walk those hands over to that right side. So big reach through that left hand, pressing those hips back, resting that head down. Maybe even stacking this left hand over the right. Bigger reach through that left arm. Focusing that breath to that left side. So really feeling through that left rib cage, feeling that bigger stretch along that left side body. And then walk those hands back to center. And then we'll walk those hands all the way over to that other side. So really big reach through that right arm, pressing that right hip back, and then breathing into that right side body. And if you want to walk that right hand over so it stacks over the left hand. And then walk those hands back to center. Go ahead and make your way onto those hands and knees. So stack those knees right underneath the hips, hands are right underneath the shoulders. On that inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And then exhale, we'll round that spine, press the shoulder blades away, draw that belly up and in. But then inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. And exhale, round. Good, inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, round. Okay, now with that rounded spine, just go ahead and press those hips back to that child's pose with the knees a little close together. Keeping that rounded spine as we bring it up. Tabletop, drop the belly, lift the chest, the tailbone. Exhale, round it as we press the hips back. Good, inhale, lift it back up, drop that belly, lift the chest, the tailbone. Exhale, round, press those hips back. Good, then bring those hips, or bring that spine back up. Tabletop, flatten out that back, walking those hands forward. Really grip those fingertips into the mat as we soften that forehead down, keeping those hips up nice and high. Then we'll lower onto those forearms, sliding it forward into our plank. So this can be with just on the toes and on the forearms, or if you need to lower those knees down, you can too. So just whatever modification you need. Stay here for another 5 breaths. Really tight through the core, through the legs, really squeezing your butt. Go 3 and 2. About drawing those elbows back, drawing the toes forward. And last breath, dropping those hips down. Point those toes, drawing those elbows back. Okay. Lifting through the chest. So think about that chest is scooping forward and up. So not just crunching and collapsing into that low back. We want to feel a lot of lift through that spine. And then exhale, soften it down. Bring those hands right underneath the shoulders. Curl those toes under. So try and lift in one motion, lifting the hips and the shoulders at the same time. And then send those hips back up, downward facing dog. So just a little bit more challenging. Using a little bit more core, a little bit more arm strength. Another breath here and down dog. Just pedaling those feet, swaying those hips. And now inhale on the toes, bend into those knees. We look forward, step or hop those feet top of the mat. Inhale that half lift and exhale those hands down as we fold. Just let the head and the arms hang heavy, maybe even grabbing opposite elbows. Just finding that gentle sway from side to side. Hold out there, I'm gonna adjust. And then inhale, find that half lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, bend into those knees. We'll rise all the way up to standing. Reach up nice and tall. Interlace those fingers, and we'll just bend it to the right. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it back up. Draw those elbows down. Open up through that chest. You do that 2 more times. Inhale it back up. And exhale the arms down. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, draw those elbows down. We're going to interlace those fingers behind the back. Okay? So we want to bring those palms facing each other. So just start by opening up through that chest. So trying to bring those shoulders to start to rotate back, pinching those shoulder blades together. And then from there, maybe we start to bring those hands away from the hips, but again, try to avoid just rolling those shoulders forward. Okay, just kind of finding that position that you're at today. Okay, 1 more breath. And then we'll bend those knees, keep the fingers interlaced, send those hips back, flat back as you fold. So shoulder position doesn't change. Think about reaching those knuckles towards the ceiling. 1 more breath. And release those hands down to the mat. Plant those hands down, stepping those feet back to our plank. Shift the weight forward, lower it down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips back up to the sky, downward facing dog. Go 2 more breaths in our down dog. And now inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, step those feet top of the mat. Inhaling the half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise to standing. Interlace those fingers, find that side stretch to the right. Inhale it back up. Exhale it to the left. Inhale, reach it up, drawing those elbows down. Inhale, reach it back up. Good. Exhale, draw the elbows down. Interlace those fingers. Big opening through that chest. And then slight bend in the knees as we fold. Find that half lift. Then exhale, we'll plant those hands down, step those feet back, shift the weight forward, lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. One more breath. Stay really active in those hands. Actively pressing the heels down, tailbone up. And now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend the knees, step those feet off the mat. Half lift on the inhale. And exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. And exhale, bend it to the right. Inhale it back up. Exhale it to the left. And inhale, reach it up. Exhale, draw the elbows down. Inhale, send it back up. Good. Exhale, those arms down. Interlace the fingers, open up through that chest. And exhale, we'll fold. Inhale, the half lift. And exhale, plant those hands down, stepping, or maybe you even hop those feet back to the plank. Shift it forward, lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Do one more breath. Good, now we'll inhale on the toes, bend into those knees. We're gonna step those feet right behind the hands. So a little bit wider, maybe even bringing those feet out to mat distance apart. Okay, we'll find that half lift on the inhale. And exhale, slide those hands down as we fold. From here, we're gonna start to bring those heels in, toes out, sink the hips down, lifting that chest. So keep that nice flat back. Those hips can be up a little bit higher. Okay. If you're sit a little bit tighter through those legs, keep that core tight, back flat. Try and sink those hips down lower and lower, keeping those heels down on the ground. Okay, we want to try not to be here. You might have to step those feet out a little bit wider, maybe bring those hips a little bit higher. Okay, keep pressing the knees out. Nice, slow, controlled inhales and exhales. Three more breaths. Last big breath in. And exhale, straighten those legs as we fold. And you can walk those feet about hip distance apart. You might bend those knees a little bit more, so we can bring those fingertips down to the ground. We can flatten out through that back. Now we're gonna lift that left leg up, keeping those hips nice and square. Now take that big step back. So the back heel is gonna be lifted. See, there we go. So really, really long stance here. Okay, hips squaring off. So we're gonna draw that right hip back, left hip forward. Rib cage pulls down and then bend into that front knee. We're gonna reach those arms up overhead. So we've done this pose a lot kneeling here. So if you need to modify and go into kneeling, this is totally fine, okay? Otherwise, okay, keep that back knee lifted. That leg is nice and strong, okay? So you wanna straighten that leg as much as you can, but if you straighten the leg and you go into this back bend, okay, might put a little bit too much strain on that low back. So bend into that back knee, okay, bend into the front knee, really engage through this core. Keep this tight, and then maybe you try and straighten that leg a little bit more. If those hips are a little tight, okay, just keep that back knee bent, but just stay really active through those feet. Okay, now press into that right heel, pull it back. We'll feel that hamstring and that glute engage a little bit more. Back toes are pressing down and pulling forward, so really strong into this lunge. Okay, hold it for another breath. Good, now we'll step it forward and find that forward fold. Just give it a little break. Good, now bend those knees, flatten out that back. Fingertips stay on the ground. We're gonna lift that right leg up. Square the hips down, point those toes down. Now we'll take, again, the big step back. So we want the back heel lifted. Okay. So again, you can slide that front foot forward a little bit more. Okay. Pulling that tailbone down, rib cage down. Okay. Bend into that front knee, and maybe straighten that back leg out a little bit more. Okay. Reaching those arms up overhead. We're gonna hold this, sinking into that front knee. So again, if you need to modify and lower that back knee down to the ground, go for it. Sink a little bit deeper, hold it. Again, pressing into that left heel, pulling that knee back, feeling that the muscles of that left leg. One more breath. Good. Now step that front right foot forward. Find that forward fold. Let's move through a vinyasa. So flat back on that inhale. Exhale, plant those hands down, step or hop those feet back, lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. One more breath in, down dog. Good, now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, stepping those feet a little bit wider. And maybe a mat distance apart. So the toes out, heels in, sink those hips down, chest is lifted. And holding it here, breathing. Okay, hands can come to heart center, pressing those knees out. Okay, so you can do it with your elbows, okay, but I want you to try and use those glutes a little bit to drive those knees out as much as you can. Okay, we're gonna hold it here for 3 and 2. Good, last big breath in. And exhale, we'll straighten those legs as we fold. Walking those feet about hip distance apart. We're gonna find that half lift on the inhale. Is lifting that left leg up, square those hips off. Take that big step back, reaching those arms up overhead. Rib cage down. And sink into that front knee a little bit deeper. Okay, now we're gonna twist. Left arm is gonna reach forward, right arm reaches back. Okay, so maybe you look back and find that left thumb. Okay, from here, we're gonna flip that palm, reach it up. Is this right hand reaches back for that hamstring. Okay, so really active in the feet, pulling the right heel back. Left toes are pulling forward. One more breath. And then we'll reach those arms back up, stepping that foot forward as we fold. And inhaling that half lift. Bending into those knees as we lift that right leg up. Big step back into that lunge. Arms will reach up, rib cage down, sink into that front knee. Now adding that twist, right hand's gonna reach forward, left arm reaches back. So find that left thumb. Keep following that thumb as we reach up, right arm back, left hand is just gonna slide down that back hamstring. Then hold it for another breath, sink those hips down. Then we'll reach those arms back up and step that foot forward, finding that forward fold. Half lift on the inhale. And exhale, plant those hands. Stepping those feet back to our plank as we lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhale those hips up to the sky, down dog. And then inhale on the toes. Stepping those feet to the top of the mat. Bringing the feet a little bit wider, flatten out that back. Good, exhale, fold. And we'll go into that squat one last time. So turning those toes out, heels in, sink those hips down. Bring those hands to heart center. And we'll breathe it here. For 3, 2, and 1. Straighten those legs as we fold. And just pause for a few minutes. Just let that head hang nice and heavy. And so inhale, we're going to come all the way up to standing. Okay, bring those feet to that squat stance. So we'll get a little leg work here, a little squat work here. So heels in, toes out. Okay, hands will come to heart center. Okay, so rib cage stays nice, or rib cage stays down, core stays nice and tight. Now from here, grip those toes into the ground and that knuckle of that big toe. Pressing the feet down and then pulling those feet apart. Okay, so when we do that, we should start to feel the legs and the glutes start to fire a little bit. And then from here, just press the knees out as we sink the hips down. Good, press into the feet, press the knees out, stand up. Good, and down, press back up, and down, press back up. Now again, we're gonna go down, hold, breathe. And now we're gonna drive those knees out. As we stand up, we're gonna lift those heels up and balance here. So core stays nice and tight. Don't let those knees collapse out. Keep those knees, not the knees, the ankles pulling up and in towards that midline, squeezing those legs, the glutes, the core. Maybe even reach those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Maybe you look up towards the ceiling. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. Lower those heels down, straighten out those toes as we fold. Just let the head and the arms hang nice and heavy. And now go ahead and plant those hands down, stepping or hopping those feet back to plank. Shift the weight forward, lower down. Inhale, lift. And exhaling those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Okay, now we're gonna step that right foot through to that right thumb. Back knee lowers down. Twisting, reaching that right arm up. So gazing up towards that right hand. Core stays tight. Pressing into that left hand. Think about, instead of collapsing into that shoulder joint, think about creating space, lifting up through that shoulder joint as we reach that arm up. Good, now lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg, pull those toes back. Good, rebend into that knee as we twist, reaching that arm up. Now, bending that back knee. Okay, so maybe you just stay in this position, reaching for it. You want to start to feel that stretch in that left quad. And maybe you can reach back, grab onto that foot. So we want that thumb up, reaching for that pinky toe side of the foot as we pull that heel right towards that glute. Stay with that breath. Slowly release that foot down, plant the hand, and step that foot back down, dog. And then we'll step that left foot through to that left thumb. That knee is going to lower down. Again, pressing those hips forward. Okay, so not only are we going to get a better stretch through that hip flexor, but it's going to feel a lot better on your knee than being in this position. So we want to press hips forward. So we're working towards getting the weight onto that muscle belly that's right above the knee. Okay, twisting, reaching that left arm up. Again, pressing into this right hand, shoulder lifting, creating space to that shoulder joint as we reach that left arm up. And then lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg as we pull those toes back. Nice flat spine. Bend into that knee. Again, we'll plant that right hand, twisting. Left arm is going to reach up. Thumb is up as we reach for that pinky toe side of the foot. So we get a little bit of a stretch and opening through that shoulder as well as that stretch through that quad. Again, keep pressing into that right hand, finding space in that shoulder. So you find a little bit more opening and twist. And slowly release that foot down. Plant those hands as we send it back to our down dog. We can flow through one last vinyasa if you'd like, or if you just want to stay here in down dog, or maybe even take a quick child's pose, you can. Just lower. Inhale, finding that big lift of the chest, shoulders down, lengthen out through the crown of the head. And exhale, sending those hips up to the sky. Down dog. Now from here, go ahead and lower onto the seat. We're going to bring those legs up really, really wide. So if you're on hardwood floor, sit long ways on your mat and maybe even sit your hips off the mat a little bit. So as we come into this wide leg forward fold, those heels are still going to be on the mat. So flex those feet. You might have to bend those knees a little bit. And think about pressing the feet back. So you're flexing through your glutes a little bit. Okay, now nice flat back. Start to walk those hands forward. Finding that nice, slow, controlled breath. And as we hold this, and as we breathe, maybe you can walk those hands forward just little by little. Take a moment to inhale, lengthen through that low back, through the chest. And then exhale from that lengthened spine. See if you can walk the hands forward a little bit more. And we'll go ahead and rise back up, sit nice and tall. Okay. Just bend into this right knee, bringing that foot towards. So if I'm mirroring you guys, you're bending your left knee, and then we're leaning, reaching the arms up, twisting towards that right leg, and then we'll fold. So just reaching that left hand, maybe across that shin a little bit, so you're getting a little bit more twist. Nice flat back, and then fold. Now we're going to open up through that chest. So keeping this left, your right elbow on that side, we're going to reach that left arm up and over. So finding that side stretch. So you want to keep those shoulders stacked and then really bend and reach. We're trying to reach that toe, make that circle. And then we'll inhale it back up, sitting tall, reaching both arms up. So a lot of length through that spine. And then we're going to twist over this bent knee. So right hand just comes across that knee. Sit up nice and tall. So try not to lean off onto this left hip. Keep both hips grounded down. Lengthen through the spine. And exhale a little deeper into that twist. And now we'll bring it back to center. We're going to switch sides. So extending through that left foot. Right foot comes to that inner thigh. Reaching those arms up. Bring that slight twist. And then reach for ankle or that foot. You'll bring that right hand across that shin and then fold a little deeper. Then we're gonna open up through that chest. So reach that right arm out, up, and around. So those shoulders stay stacked as we try to reach for that left big toe. Just gaze up underneath that arm. And finding that big side stretch. And then inhale. We're gonna rise back up. Reaching both arms up overhead and then finding that twist towards that bent knee. So sitting nice and tall on that inhale. Hips are grounded and Both hips are grounded down as we find that twist. And then we bring it back to center. Go ahead and swing it around. So we're going to come onto our backs, but keep your knees bent, reaching those arms forward, and just nice and slow. Roll it down one vertebrae at a time. So see how controlled, how slow you can go. So you can feel each individual vertebrae hit the mat. Good, then reach those arms overhead. Okay, rebend into those knees. So we want to get those heels a little bit closer to our hips. Those arms can reach up. Thumbs are pointing down, maybe even touching the ground. Okay, pulling that low back to be completely flat on the mat. So we're engaging through that core a little bit. We're pressing into those heels. We're gripping those toes as we press into the heels, feeling those glutes tighten up a little bit. Now from here, just lift the hips up off of the mat. So same idea. We're going to try and lift, feel each individual vertebrae as it lifts up off of the mat. Keep pressing into those feet, scooping that tailbone up. And then we'll reverse it. So start to lower down. All those vertebrae, tailbone is the last thing that's going to lower. Good. One more time, pressing into those feet. Roll it up. To pause at the top. And then roll it back down. And now we're going to cross that right ankle over that left thigh. Okay, so try not to have the ankle bone on the thigh. Slide that leg across a little bit more. Now right hand's going to go in between the inner thighs. Left hand goes around the outside. Grab onto that left hamstring. Okay, or maybe you can reach for that knee. Just try and keep that tailbone grounded down. Shoulders are down, heads down. Walking the shoulder blades together. So nice, flat back. Go ahead and lower that foot down. Re-tee out those arms. Okay. Just draw those knees over to that right side. So left shoulder is going to stay down. A little bit of a twist and a stretch through that. Just the low back, maybe even into that oblique or that side body. And we'll bring that knee back to center, just switching sides. So crossing that left ankle over that knee. Flexing that left foot. Tailbone is down as we pull that knee in. So grab onto that right hamstring or maybe that shin. Walk those shoulder blades together. Lift through that chest. And we'll go ahead and lower that foot down. Keep the ankle crossed over. Tee out those arms, and then we'll draw the knees over to that left side. Keep that right arm, right shoulder grounded down. Maybe even looking out towards that right hand. Bring that knee back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. And just gently rock from side to side. And then find that stillness. We're going to round the spine, bring the forehead to the knees. We'll extend those legs out, reach those arms overhead, full body stretch, fingertips down through those toes. Big breath in, reach. And exhaling those arms down by the sides. And you can bring those legs a little bit wider, let those toes turn out. Maybe draw those shoulder blades together so they lay flat. Bring those hands a little bit wider. Taking that big breath in through the nose. And exhale, open the mouth side out. Letting yourself completely relax with that exhale. Just continuing to breathe, to completely relax. Begin to deepen your breath. Just begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reaching those arms overhead for that full body stretch from the fingertips all the way down through those toes. And draw those knees into the chest. You gently roll over onto that right side so that right arm and left arm just falls in front. Just pause here for a few breaths. Maybe make those breaths a little bit deeper, just trying to wake the body back up. And then press back up, all the way up into that seated position. Head sitting tall, hands are just resting on the knees. Just a few more breaths in this space. Inhale those arms up overhead. Let palms meet as we bring those hands to heart center. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great evening. Thank you.